So thermal imaging, everybody see me in the camera? Okay, do you see how everything behind me is blue? That just means that it's a colder temperature than my body temperature. So if you take me out, the whole thing changes. So it's gonna fluctuate based on whatever is inside the screen. Does that make sense? Yes, no? Yes. Okay, sorry. You guys can tell me if it doesn't. I can explain it differently. All right, so what we're looking for in this, the blue is obviously colder spots. So we're gonna be looking for those darker blue spots or anything that is lighter than the red. So I've caught apparitions with this, like shadow people, that were in yellow only because everything else was in red. So the yellow was in a much cooler color. It's okay if you don't fully understand this. I really just need you to be a video camera person all night long, Kameren. So what you're also going to be looking for is in the event we actually have something intelligent and it's actually moving along and he finds a blue orb that's floating around, it will also outline it for us because the camera's going to look at it as a structure because it doesn't look at physical 3D beings. It's only looking at heat signatures. Does that make sense? Okay, so I will also, it's already recording, so do you see the red square? Mm-hmm. Make sure it stays a square all night, otherwise we'll have 2 videos and it's a lot of extra work for me to splice them together.
All right.
No pressure. And also keep in mind where the camera is, so your hand is kind of hovering it, so that's okay, but kind of bounce it back and forth if you guys need to, and keep it horizontal all night. So in the event your hands get tired, please, by all means, pass it over to Brittany, and she can take over. All right, so where am I at here? I have another spirit box. This one will record the entire session. What's cool about this one is no matter if the volume is up or down, it will still record at the same volume level. I don't know how that technology works, but it does. It's wonderful. It will actually stay on record the entire night, so the 2 of you can kind of share this for now until we see how many extra gadgets we have. The only thing you need to know is how to turn it up and down, which is this little turnstile right here. It's already sleeping, as you can see on the radio street, and make sure that SD stays on it. That means it's recording. So, we have lots of different types of gadgets. Keep in mind too, guys, I don't get excited when I just get one gadget that's going off or moving in any way, shape, or form. I need at least 2 to validate. So even if you only have 1 through the tour, in the morning we might actually get a second thing to go. This is the neuralizer for Men in Black. None of you are going to remember anything when I'm done. It's a grid pen. So what this guy will do is it will allow us to see things we cannot see with the naked eye. So if you see how my hand kind of flashes right through it, it's very, very simple. So it also, if we actually get a full apparition that's going to stay inside of it, we get those green streaks. Does everybody kind of see how that works? Now, I will tell you, it's happened. We're not going to get something that's going to stay in there long enough for us to all see it. We kind of have to take that person's word for it and the person next to them. Now, this is also a laser. If everybody looks at that building, it goes really, really far. So I usually hand this off to a very responsible adult who's not going to shoot cars.
Or airplanes?
And or buildings. Or airplanes. Alright, so I have another one. It's the same thing, only it's obviously red boxes. So what happens here is in the event we actually get something in the center of it, I can actually take that picture or the video if it shows up and get a full 3D image, put it in 3D software, and we'll have a full 3D image of our apparition that we caught. How cool is that?
So cool.
That one goes to you as well. Okay. The best way to use those is 1 in each hand, side by side. Don't necessarily need to crisscross, and then just kind of move them out in front of you. You don't want to go up.
1 in each hand, just like that.
How do I make it do laser?
Do the laser stuff? I don't know, is there a button?
No, so I thought it. Okay.
Right there's a toggle.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
All right. So we should all recognize one of these guys by now, right?
Yes.
Pretty simple. What this guy will actually do is it just measures whatever the red dot touches. So why do we use this when we have this really cool infrared thermal camera? We need to debunk it. I'm not going to make stuff up for you guys. So let's say Kameren is standing where I am and he's like, Nick, there's a blue spot on the wall, because that's the way it looks in the camera. I'm going to verify that the wall is the same temperature all the way across. In the event that it is the same temperature all the way across and he still has a blue spot, I need something that's going to measure between him and the blue spot. That's where this guy comes in. So now we're going to try to find where that blue spot is and see if there's anything blowing or air conditioning coming out of the building or something. This will measure the ambient temperature. Okay, so why this is important? This helps us verify that something else is actually happening. So, you have your purse. So I'm actually going to hand these off to you because this one is also another laser. I want to hand 2 objects to the lady with the purse. What else do we have going on in here? Alright, so we've got... Alright, so this is an EMF meter. This is the first signal that something is actually happening with us. So, this will measure 3 different kinds of electromagnetic fields. Again, sorry for the long teaching train, but this is important. The green light means it's just going to measure the Earth's natural electromagnetic field. When it starts blipping in a rhythmic pattern, it's something man-made, wires, cell phones, anything like that. When it goes crazy is when we really need to be excited. So when it's going erratic and we have no rhythmic pattern to it, that's what we need. So Miss Ann, I'm going to keep you busy with this. So you need to watch that because it doesn't make any noise. So when we're walking through, you don't even need to hit buttons. It's one of those, just walk around and let us know when it goes nuts. And last but not least, a simple point and shoot camera. The flash is off. So the reason for that is so that way we don't get any false positives coming off of cars, windows, or anything like that. The pictures that we get, obviously nobody can be inside of it except for me. But when you're taking pictures with this, what was your name again? Maida. So when you're taking pictures, you want to be as still as possible to make sure like we're not going to get any blurriness.
Gotcha.
So it does have high pixelation, but again, without a flash, things turn up blurry very, very quickly. Take as many pictures as you want. However, I will delete anything with people in them. That is my promise.
So basically, you want me to take pictures throughout the tour, or if we see something?
Throughout the tour, because I have caught shadow people, I've caught orbs, I've caught all kinds of things. So, last but not least, I'm going to use a couple of gadgets on me. And let me show you what these guys do. So, because this is my way of communicating when you guys are exploring a little bit further. So I do keep a backup EMF in case Ann's breaks or something goes haywire with that. Let's see what else. I use a spirit box. The spirit box that I use. We don't want to hear what music I was listening to.
Game of Thrones. That's exciting.
I listen to a lot of instrumentals. As a writer, you can imagine I listen to a lot of instrumentals. Okay, so this spirit box will actually give us a list of words right here in the center, one at a time. So that list, this is last night's tour, so I'm going to delete theirs. They had 49 entries. We're going to clear that out and start you guys fresh. So the reason why this is so important is because this helps me with some things that we might not be able to hear clearly, and it might actually clarify it for us because it's an actual word. Now, the other cool, this is actually meant to be a game and a hoax. So 80% of what we find on this spirit box doesn't mean anything, okay? I'll just call it as BS. So the other 20% is where it actually relates to what we're doing, who we are, and or the location that we're at. Does that make sense to everybody? And I'll show you, as they come up, I will say, hey, I got the word John, or building, or whatever, just to kind of clarify where it came up. And last but not least, I use a reverse spirit box for kind of like the same principle that you guys have with your spirit boxes, only mine goes in reverse. So when something comes through forward, we actually can hear it very clearly. So I'm going to turn it on so you guys get a gist of what you're going to hear, because you're going to hear it on your normal audio. So it's going to sound like complete gibberish, and I will ask questions and wait for the answers to come through. Okay, so I use both spirit boxes all night long. I've already started recording this, so the souvenirs and the data that you guys are going to have is going to be the full audio, the spirit box recording, the pictures, the full YouTube video that'll be all in one place, and then of course the list of words from my spirit box and a quick analysis of what I find when I look at it as a collective. So we might have some things that don't make sense to us tonight, but when I look at it collectively with everything else, it might make perfect sense. So, you guys ready to hear a story?
Yes.
Quit talking already about the gadgets. All right, so also too, the first place that we're actually going to go to is kind of like your playground. It is haunted. I don't have a historical story, so it's kind of a, let's get you guys on a further hands-on teach and train where I'll bounce around with each one of you and kind of show you what you're doing right and wrong. So this place is actually haunted as all get out. It used to be a place called Big John's. Big John was a football player. Thermal imaging cannot see through glass, so if you actually get something through there, I'll be super interested.
I'm getting just reflections from us.
Yep.
I knew that. Honestly, I did, guys. Come
So
on now.
Big John was a New York Giants football player in 1947, and he's from Charleston, and he used to sit in the back of the bar and nod off to the bartender whenever somebody was not of age to drink. So the cadets would come over from the Citadel and try to have a couple of drinks in the front, and one night he told them, these guys aren't of age. So he gets kicked out of the bar, they leave, they get mad, and then when they come back the next night, they take the register. They try to steal the register. So Big John sitting in the back pulls out his gun and he shoots him, kills him. The bullet hole is still in the front of the building. And I tell you this story because it is said that anybody that sits in the front of this building starts to get a little sick, dizzy, queasy, disoriented, those kind of things. I also bring that up because I don't know how paranormal activity is going to affect any of you. I know how it's going to affect me, but I don't know how it's going to affect any of you. So if anybody's feeling any of those things, even the slightest bit of a headache, please speak up. If somebody in your party doesn't, I'll be fine, speak up for them. It's a big deal. I've had people pass out. I've had people not do well growing up, like too much activity. And it wasn't due to heat. It was off season. So it does happen. But actually, I thought I was going to get another word. But we're actually going to pick up and we're going to head down this way. So let's go take a hike and let's go ghost hunt. You guys ready?
Yes. I knew that it doesn't go through glass, okay? I know you do.
Am I supposed to like?
I mean, whenever we get to the site, probably, yeah, makes sense.
All right. Everybody kind of come around. So this is what I call the Red Barn lot. This is the Red Barn where they keep all the ponies for the carriage rides, for some of you that took them earlier. So the ponies are still in there. It is also the same Red Barn where they kept the horses that delivered milk. So if that kind of dates it for you, we're talking 1860 to 1920s, roughly. Those of you with lasers, no lasers in windows, you will spook the horses. That's why I give the lasers to adults. Pictures, we have a few vehicles here, so just be mindful of the vehicles. No vehicles in the pictures either. People get a little weird about that. Thermal camera, we'll get nice slow sweeps around. We're looking for high EMFs through here if you're not getting something already. Looks like you're getting a couple of blips. But when you start seeing the oranges and the reds, that's really when you need to speak up. And then as far as temperature goes, you can shoot that infrared all over except for inside the windows. Just kind of help us get a base temperature of the whole location, see if you find anything that's like a good 10 to 15 degree drop. So for you, 10 to 15 degrees, like his is going to be, I think, 3 to 4 degrees lower. They're not really synced up. There's no way to do that. Yours is more accurate, so if he finds something, we know we need to get you involved as well.
Okay.
Grids, it's kind of a slow movement. Again, nothing up in those windows. Spirit box is up. Tell us whatever you hear. So same thing on your spirit box. Tell us whatever you guys hear. I'm going to be asking random questions. Stay away from yes or no questions. You can ask who is here, what color is the barn, what's in the barn, those kind of things. But give them time to answer. It usually takes a good 4 or 5 times of you asking that question before an answer will pop up. I may ask a question and the answer comes up somewhere else. It might even come up on the audio for the video. We never know because that's recording audio as well. So we're going to explore in here for about 10 minutes and I'll bounce around with you guys to see if you have any questions or what you're actually finding. And that way we can all get used to our gadgets before we learn some history. Sound fair?
Sounds awesome.
Let's do it. I got the word clean. So your gadgets are clean. I probably have the cleanest gadgets in all the land. So let's get that spirit box up so you can hear it. And the tip of that green pen, if you twist it, you get more dots. So go ahead and turn it back on. Just a little turn side. More dots to that. There you go. button right on the back of the speaker, dead center. So I'll ask you that this one is a little bit louder than theirs, but you can't control the volume, so just stay away from those windows over there. You don't want to speak to that coworkers. Okay? Just ask questions slowly, give them time to answer, and let me know what you hear. So with the EMF, it's best to kind of hold it flat.
Refresh my memory what the yellow is.
The yellow one is a psychrometer, so the top number is humidity. We don't care about that.
Who's over here?
words you normally do. So you get the gist of how that like fluctuates a little bit. So that camera is also not up to speed with our cell phone pixelization, so the slower the movements you get on that, the better. I'm not going to say kind of lag behind in the group, because there's going to be times where I walk pretty swiftly, but just when we're walking, obviously still keep it out, because we never know what we're going to catch. And I've gotten used to, I had to learn a lot about this camera, because it's, you know, it's interesting.
Right.
At first I was getting excited because I kept seeing all these little white blobs, but it turns out that it's going to pick up any, like if you look out there with that light triangle on the back of that building, it's going to look like
Yeah.
You see how it like actually makes its own form, and if you were close enough, it'll actually put those white lines around it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I was getting excited, but I had to learn. I'm like, man, this is too much.
Right.
Like, why is it giving me so much? But again, super interesting tool to have. And the fact that we've caught, full apparition. I've had cold spots come by people's legs in here, where it was an obvious orange and red because of the body heat,
Mm-hmm.
and then something blue comes by and dissipates. Like that's, you can't deny that.
Right.
So, but that's really what you're looking for. You're looking. I mean, you might not see it tonight. It might be something we have to blow it up on a big screen because it might be minuscule.
Okay.
So, just don't be disappointed at the end of the night. Like, I didn't catch anything. Well,
Right.
let's watch it on TV. See what happens.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Alright, so everybody's kind of got the gist. You were doing a great job. That's why I didn't bother with you. You seemed like you were on the light situation. So, they've actually heard, they asked the question of who was here. They got the name Trevor. And then right after that, they asked, why are you here? And it said, clean the stalls.
Huh.
So, very cool stuff for me to look into. So, yes, very good job. And they both heard it. So, again, that's why we put two people on certain gadgets. So, we're going to go to the next location. And again, we're recording all of this stuff. So, it's not like this is the only piece that we have from this location. I actually heard a news story about a location we passed yesterday. And I'm actually hoping to dive into that a little bit further. I don't tell the story until I have it validated. So if we get anything out of it, I'll let you know what that story is. But I will tell you that I did hear my name, and the name of the person in the story also has the same name. So I was trying to get out of them, are you referring to me, are you talking to me, or are you saying you are Nick? So again, I will look into it and see if anything else has popped up on my other tours. I got stopped on my way home last night and said, hey, what are you doing out here every night? So I kind of told him what this was about. And then he said, I got a story for you. So we're going to validate it later. Hopefully it's something that's going to come through. So let's go learn some history. Let's go do this. Promise we will not go to parking lots all night long. This is the last one. So, we are actually standing in the Pinckney Mansion site. So, this was super important in Charleston history, and nobody talks about it, like the actual location. They talk about the people that lived here, but they never talk about where they lived. Super cool thing for us is we have all the gadgets to prove all the paranormal activity here. So the Pinckney Mansion would have been in the front, obviously facing East Bay. Eliza's garden would have been lined up with that blue dumpster, and the slave homes to the Pinckney Mansion would have been back here where we're standing. So Charles and Eliza had a son named Charles, and they also had a nephew named Charles. The son and the nephew were signers of our Constitution. Pretty big deal for Charleston. However, I hate politics. I don't want to talk about politics. I like to talk about Eliza. Eliza, she was from England. She married Charles so that she could stay here in the United States. Her dad was sick, thought he was dying, and he wanted her home. She didn't want to go. So she got married, became a citizen, boom, she's stuck here. But Dad got better, and he started sending her stuff. Just gifts. She was also a botanist. I told you her garden was lined up over here. One of those gifts happened to be indigo. So if you've taken any kind of historical tour through Charleston, or you've lived in Charleston, you know about indigo. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes your blue jeans blue. We still use it today. Now, that plant started right here and then was moved to a plantation to be harvested. The cool thing about Eliza, this is colonial times, 1760s. She was also the businesswoman who sold it to the business people overseas. In colonial times, a businesswoman was absolutely unheard of. So Eliza is a very big deal to Charleston. Now, she is usually the one that comes through here. Usually when I turn on my spirit box, she'll address me directly, and she will have a full conversation. So what we're looking for, I'm going to give you guys some questions that you can ask, and I'm not going to tell you the answers until we leave, so that way I don't give you any suggestive thoughts. That way you're not listening for specific things. Eliza had 4 children. Only one of those kids was a daughter. Find out what the daughter's name was. You okay? I heard you choking. You all right?
forgot how to drink.
Hole in your chin. So Eliza was also the second wife named Eliza back to back from Charles. So ask what Eliza's maiden name was, because that's what she goes by. It's Eliza blank Pinkney. So find out what that name is. You can also ask what happened to their home. That's a pretty simple answer too. You can ask how old she was. Where is she buried? She's not buried in Charleston. Where did she die? What did she die of? These are all great questions that are like one-word answers that we can get the answers to, and I've gotten them in the past. So I'm not giving you anything that she hasn't told us before, multiple times. So again, I may ask questions and the answer might come through in another spirit box. The only thing I'll ask of you guys is to, well, pictures, no pictures in here, obviously because of cars. Oh, super cool. So, Ann, can you hold up your EMF and kind of show the flashing if you're getting anything? All right, so that light at the back of the building is usually in sync with the EMF detector based on the energy that's in the area. So when you go closer to it and you kind of hold it up like you're going to take a selfie, exactly how I told you not to hold it, it will be in sync with that light. So that light doesn't always blink, and it doesn't always blink at that speed. So it just kind of tells us what kind of activity we're actually going to get. So people, there's cars in here. People are going to be in and out, so be mindful of moving vehicles. No pictures, obviously, because of the vehicles. But we can listen to spirit boxes, the lasers. Let's keep them below the wall. So that way we're not flashing any other businesses around, because people will come out of that restaurant for their breaks and whatnot. Nice full sweeps on the camera, temperatures on everything, Chris, and of course you two, please giving us more great info. That was awesome. So we're going to expect some answers out of you guys this time. How about that? All right, let's go explore. Let's see what we can find.
So we are looking for a light.
Yeah, speak directly to her. Hey Eliza, what happened to your
So
house?
who believes she comes back here? There is no other spirits or
Sometimes she'll bring somebody with her. So with Eliza specifically, she's a very specific things. Keep in mind, she's not buried. She's buried far, far away.
So you don't believe in those spirits?
Not even close. Who wants to go where they're buried? That's why we don't go through cemeteries. I know that what this is called, Stories of a Cemetery, but Charleston is one giant cemetery based on the tragedies. So, but with Eliza,
This is picking up the red dot. That's interesting. Just that red dot. Nothing else, because obviously I'm like I was swooping the ground.
Yeah.
Put that in recording. I can't wait to look at that.
Oh, yeah.
You good? Always. Oh. Always. Weirdo. think I'm getting pretty good sweeps of everything. I haven't
I've
had
seen you
any.
actually standing this way, which is interesting. Because sometimes we'll actually get a draft up here and somebody go like, oh, this whole area is kind of lighter blue or whatever. I'm like, yeah, it's because there's a draft coming in off you today. So, I mean, it does happen. And I'm sure you've noticed too, like in between like the car spaces, because the heat is drawn down from the car, like it's pushed downward, you can see the heat underneath the car, but the car looks cold.
Right.
And if somebody just pulls in,
trapped.
what's interesting too is like, let's say that truck just pulled in, you can actually come back to it 5 minutes later and only the top of the truck will be cool. And you can see the temperature difference all the way down to the bottom. It's super cool.
Okay.
But kind of gives you a gist of like how it actually works and how the science of it works. But again, you might not see anything on that tiny screen. I just happen to have a spare cell phone lying around, and that's why I rigged it up the way that I did.
Yeah, this is definitely cool though.
So when you're with the, so go ahead and hold the green one still. And I usually tell people like try to keep it as still as possible. That's the word doubt. Because what will happen is when you're flashing it around and you pick stuff up, you see how them streaks come up? It's another false positive. We don't want it that low to the ground. It's probably going to be within the area close to your hand. So again, it's real still movements, but you got this. I know you're getting kind of bored because it's not the most active tool that we have here. Got the word Anna. We don't have an Anna here today, do we? No. So this is where I kind of go back and I'll look at the words that we've gotten so far to see if something else kind of relates to it. Because you'll see in your notes, like I might have vulnerable Brady as a pair. I mean, the word growing, I was talking about her garden, so to me that's relevant, but I don't have anything else. So we'll just kind of see how it goes. We're going to give it another few minutes before we head out. This is a very active spot, so I'm actually waiting for those spirit boxes to tell me more.
Okay. Damn, you're hot. Hey. You having fun?
Yep. Just getting dusted from my laser bits.
Your laser bits. Put my. Weirdo.
Check on them, and then we will.
Are you tired?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I go to bed, nerd.
Alright, guys. Let's go ahead and 4 blocks up the road, so lasers are a no-go. We're going to be on the main street. Your EMF will probably go a little nuts just because of the wiring underneath the streets for the parking meters. Please keep filming. I do walk a little briskly so that way we can actually hit as many spots as possible. We did actually get quite a few things out of the different, I mean, it's enough for me on the recording that I'll actually have to write things down and type it up for y'all because it was that much. So let's go see what else we can gather up. And again, if you want to listen to Spirit Boxes on the way there, by all means do so. Let me know what you hear. And let's go see if we can capture something else.
Nice. Do what? Maybe. 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 What's up for the trash can there?
Yep.
Oh, look at the big old poppers.
Oh, what was that? Oda.
Huh?
Jane had Nikita.
And Nikita? Where?
Huh?
Where? What?
Right there. To the right.
Oh. Huh?
United States Customs.
Boop, boop,
No,
boop,
no, no,
boop.
you guys are.
It's the custom house. I don't know what that means, but that's what it is. I don't know. Just custom. Max Place Pub and Grub. Hope you good.
Walk is a little bit wobbly, but I'm good.
A little bit wobbly.
On the cobblestone. Let's go.
Huh?
Like being slightly north of Broad.
This is my second time here.
I've been here a few times.
Yeah.
Cheers. Mm.
The gin joint.
Hell yeah, dark alley. That's what I'm talking about.
Can you grab a picture of this after the gentleman passes by before we walk through it? Yeah, watch your step. My wife is in photography, so anything we capture, I send over to her for validation. If it's BS, I'll tell you. Everybody watch your step. This is actually one of the oldest streets in Charleston. People used to live here. This was their address. What I'm leaning on in this way is the Lodge Alley Inn that of course has its own ghosts, but nothing that ties into Charleston history, nothing that's been validated. What's been interesting about this place is I would normally tell like one of those stories that when I was working with a psychic, but I've been getting so much activity out of here lately just through the spirit boxes and the audio. I have the full list, the roster of people that used to live here. So when we get names, I can validate who they are and what they did for a living. And with that being said, the people that live here in archaeological days, ritual walking, made of clay, by the way, not normal size bricks. But they found their silverware, like little pieces of their clothing. These were lower class people. They lived really close to the water, so they had jobs like they were mariners. I think one was a cooper, there was a grocer, a seamstress. These were everyday Charlestonians, but they were also very poor. So these date back all the way to 1796, I believe. But again, very interesting alley. Into the fact that this was somebody's residence in Binghamton. So I have to look to see if there's anything that fits here. So that's he gets the see something. It's going to be in a residential area. Tour guides are not that many tour guides in Charleston. Residential, so we're just going to be 9 friends go something together. But I kind of discovered a new alley as I was watching another tour guide go through it. So I'm going to see if it's actually legit, like we can cut through and kind of see what's happening in there. I don't know what the name of that alley is. Again, we have 9 hidden alleys in Charleston, and I think I stumbled across another one. So you guys will be the first one to see what's legit. And it actually hopefully will lead us to the next spot that I take you to anyway. So your EMF, obviously in here, based off of the restaurants and the buildings, so it's pretty steady light fixture. Usually the orange. So it's null because of where we are. But spirit boxes, we can keep them lower if you want to walk through the end, and of course once we all pass, if you want to take more pictures backwards to get the opposite way. I do get some shadows over here. When I told you guys about that shadow figure before, it was actually up by that wall over there, so we can get some pictures over by that wall that's, you see where the building is.
So that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a shadow.
I'm looking for shadow people, I'm looking for light orbs, I'm looking for, like, I've also had pictures in here where the light bouncing off the building makes no sense to my wife, who does all of my photography work. Like, I send everything to her and say, tell me what you see with this. I thumb through it first, look for these weird anomalies, and then she gets it to further analyze it. And when she can't make sense of it, that's what she's trained for. That's what she goes to school for. Photography, she's been doing it for 10, 15 years. So, let's see what we can actually kind of Alright, so let's take a walk, and we kind of be careful. I'm supposed to turn my phone on, a flashlight, so that way you can kind of see it a little dark, but if you want to kind of hang out the back, I want some pictures of that half wall, and then take some pictures of the wall. You can turn your spirit boxes up. see that half wall right there? Shoot some pictures of that wall and like above it. That's where we've gotten some weird things in the past. Sorry, I know it's pretty dark here.
Yeah, I know. Creepy.
Get some pictures going the opposite way. Let's check out this place. Right here. Come on down the road, lady. Looks like they're going to stop right there. I thought they were going to cut through. So whenever we have, this is a pretty popular area for tours. This is yet another alley, another super cool alley, Charleston. But when they pass by, let's try to get masks on. Do we have everybody? Looks like we're missing somebody. We good? Okay, sorry. Just kind of look like a smaller group. All right, so guys, we're standing in Dueler's Alley. So duels actually used to occur here. So one of the, it's called Philadelphia Alley now. But the cool thing about this is we really only tell one story. There's probably been hundreds of duels that happened here. And I'm going to kind of give you the skinny. Most other ghost tours are going to make this a big, long 10, 15-minute thing. I'm going to give it to you in about 4 minutes. So Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd moved down here from New Jersey. He was going to get married to his fiancée Amanda, who just inherited a bunch of money from her parents that died. But their lawyer said, no, you two aren't getting married, because he thought he was just after her money. So he told the doctor to go somewhere else, start his practice, and then they'll talk about the marriage. So he comes down here to Charleston. The coachman drops him off and sets him up so he would be robbed and killed. Not a very good start to his new practice here in Charleston. But somebody walking by said, you don't want to stay here, let me take you somewhere else. That person's name was Ralph Isaacs. So, we got another tour coming through. We're going to walk all the way up. This is her place.
I love this place. This is my 4th time here. His first.
Good, well, how are you?
Good.
This is the first time.
Alright, so, two become friends, Ralph Isaacs and the doctor. However, the doctor's practice takes off and he starts moving up in the hierarchy of Charleston. He's making a lot of money. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. He's very happy. So that's the story you'll hear if you Google the Whistling Doctor. However, they used to go see plays together, but because of their differences in status, they had to sit in different places. So on the way home, they would talk about the plays that they saw. One night, they're talking about the new actress that was in town. The doctor loved her, Ralph did not. The two start arguing, turns into an insult party on the doctor's fiance back home. The two goes their separate ways. They get mad at each other. Ralph, being a regular Charlestonian, has ties with the newspaper. He writes in the paper what a disgrace the doctor is to the city of Charleston. He's taking their money, he's not from here. The doctor rebuttals with, let's come down to Bueller's Alley and settle it. So they take their 20 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air and shoots. He didn't want to kill his friend. However, Ralph had a different story. He takes 2 shots below the knees. The doctor drops. Normally, the loser of the duel, dead, would go through this gate behind me over to St. Philip's Cemetery, and then everybody would go celebrate the winner with a pint. That's how the things went back then. But the doctor didn't die. His friends picked him up. They took him home to 59 Church Street, where there is paranormal activity, and he died 10 days later. It is said, as you walk through Philadelphia Alley, without another tour, this is usually the quietest place in Charleston. Even during the daytime, the hustle bustle of East Bay Street, you can't hear it from over here. So, you can hear him whistling, or you can hear a gunshot. We've had Ralph come through in the spirit boxes with his initials, tell us he was victorious, and the doctor was honorable, but I also get things that relate back to the doctor. I get words like doctorate, medicine, things like that on the spirit boxes. So, by all means, we're going to keep filming everything. So when you're listening to your audio, this is the place to turn it up, because we're going to be somewhat kind of quiet aside from the spirit boxes as we walk through. Now, at the end of this alley is residential. People do live there, so we're going to have to turn those spirit boxes back down. And the bricks are going to get older as we walk. So these were replaced in the 1990s. The bricks down there are originally, sorry, I always forget this term right away. They were sun-dried by slave children. There are fingerprints and 1 full handprint in those bricks, right outside that gentleman's home. I will point it out to the person behind me, and then so forth and so on. If you guys want to grab a picture of it, that's fine, but be quick and swift. We'll make a left outside of the alley. So you'll see me point it out and then kind of dart out the left. And if you guys want to check it out, all those different fingerprints, by all means do so, but kind of be quick. And then we'll have another location to check out. But we'll see what actually comes out of your audio. I've had whistles come through in the past, what I couldn't explain, but I haven't heard any gunshots. That's not the thing that I normally hear out of this. I usually get a weird whistle. So it's only happened, I think, 2 or 3 times at this point where I couldn't debunk it and say it was somebody whistling or messing with us, but that's kind of how this goes. But once we get past her tour, go ahead and turn up your spirit boxes and give them a listen, and we'll see what we can actually hear. Fair enough? Yep. All right, let's do this.
Moist. Why?
Huh?
Do you want to go?
No.
Okay.
Oh, good. That's all my
Happy hunting, guys. All right. So, the unmoving fist, or Mr. Cog, you'll often not see it with the naked eye, but you might see it on camera. Photos. Again, this is why you can see down. The other thing that happens here is more of a physical thing, and it is cold shock. So I have never really that sort of thing until starting this job. I get cold shock so what happens? Everything goes
Like a Hamilton thing.
Is it? What the hell is that bug attacking the girl? Do what? Why? Bushy. Oh, that's pretty neat.
We're gonna stay right here. All right, got everybody now? Cool. All right, so we got one last building to take a look at, guys. So this brick building behind you is the Wagner building. It was actually part of our cotton industry. So the last person who owned it as part of the cotton industry was George Kameren. He inherited the business from his dad. He was a silver spoon kid, no idea what he was doing, got himself into a bunch of debt, and the boll weevil was in town. So the boll weevil is a bug that eats cotton, and he just had to get rid of his whole warehouse and get out. So instead of selling off to the American government, where he probably would have got himself into a bunch of trouble, he sold all his cotton to the British. So the back of this was the warehouse. The offices for his business were in the front facing the water. That's where Pineapple Park is now. He would have been able to see that ship roll up. They basically got all the cotton out of the warehouse through those doors. The horse and buggy took it out to the ship. And George is watching from the second-story window at the front. So somebody got a little too close to that cotton with a pipe. The whole ship went up in flames, and the whole crew died. George seen all of this from the second-story window, and he didn't have enough money to pay off all his debt. He was already depressed, and now his dad's legacy is gone. So what's he do? He piles up all the furniture, swings the noose, and hangs himself. Not a very happy story. The news kid who used to sell his papers on the corner is the one that caught him the next day. So, it is said you can see the shadow of a swinging corpse in the windows in the front. The back of this building right now is being, like the back of it is condos. The front of it, they're building a wedding reception venue. And construction usually stirs things up for me. I will also tell you whenever I'm looking into this building, I get another ghost that comes through, and that is that of Zoe St. Amand from Coogan's Court. Coogan's Court is a restaurant here in town. Coogan is actually a dog. He's a ghost spirit that will pull it Kameren, sit down in the front section, and Zoe, the owner of that house, works in Coogan's Court. Now I thought that she had that place as a restaurant as well, and I was wrong. She's actually a school. So I have Zoe that comes through from time to time, and I know it's her because the spelling of her name is different than the typical Z-O-E-Y. It's only spelled Z-O-E. She's come through several times in word format for me, not to mention the spirit boxes will give me different things too. So you'll hear on your audio as we're crossing and going up the side of the building that Zoe here or George, who do I have with me? I'll wait for an answer. Also, we're going to test, who has the, Chris, you have it. So your infrared thermometer, we're going to test it, actually I'd like to test it here real quick. So you see the very peak of that building where it kind of comes up? Go ahead and shoot your laser all the way at the very top. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Ooh, you got two. What's the temperature right there? 77. Okay, so go down about 3 to 5 feet if you can. Is that tree in your way? Maybe from this angle. The very front of that building will sometimes give me a 30-degree difference from the very top to 5 feet below. There's a different kind of stone in the front. So you got what, 77 to what?
It's actually higher. It's about 8 degrees higher
Below?
below it, yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense to me, because it's going to have a little bit of a breeze that's a little higher than the other buildings around. So the front of it, I've never tested the back before, so you're doing something new for me. Just keep in mind that those are people's condos in their garage. So, but we're going to go test the front, and again, see if we get that 25 to 30 degree difference, and then you're going to verify it with the camera. Okay, all right, so let's get those spear boxes up and see what you guys see along the side. We're going to cross twice, first straight and then to the right. Let's wait for the start. There we go. Going straight. outdoors with me tonight. All right, let's cross this way. George, I want you to tell me what happened to the kid. whiter stone at the very top and then the one below it. What do you got there?
We got 63 there.
Okay, versus 77 in the back.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about that stone?
That one's 83.
So, what did you say the first one was? 67?
66.
66.
Quite a bit warmer. 80, 83.
Okay, we're talking a good 15 degrees. So, what do you have on yours, Kameren?
At the top I had 87, 88.
Okay.
And then right there at that archway there, I've got 90, 91. And then just below that, back down to 88.
Okay. Interesting. So we're getting different reads based on the different guns. So, did you guys hear anything on your way up here? What about in Philadelphia Alley? Just a what?
It was inaudible.
Okay. All right. So what about? Did you guys see a spirit box?
Yeah, we tried to George or those. I don't know.
Again, it's being recorded anyway, so even when you have it turned down, we never know if we're going to actually hear because you guys weren't listening directly. So, what do you guys think? We actually got some really cool stuff, and you gave me some really good insights to look into. And it's all on audio, so I'll have to listen to it.
So you will re-listen, like
Yeah.
the entire tour? And send it
I
to
will
us?
listen for some of our hot spots of where we actually got some activity out of the spirit boxes, what I got out of my words, and I'll kind of line everything up with the time signatures. When I find something, all the time signatures will be listed in your analysis, so that way you guys don't have to listen or watch the whole thing if you don't want to. You can just go straight to it.
Okay.
So again, it's going to be a quick analysis, and I do listen to the full audios while I'm driving Uber Eats during the daytime. That's part of the reason why I drive Eats and not regular Uber. So that way I can listen to whatever I want and see what else I hear. So if I capture anything extra, I will definitely put it up on your evidence page. So I'm going to start gathering up the gadgets. I'll take that from you. Still on SD. Great job. And then I'll get you guys my card so you can check out the website ahead of time. But I will text you guys all before noon tomorrow. That's my promise to you. And